Hello and welcome to this history tutorial on Elizabeth's accession in 1558 and what problems she faced as Queen. This is for Edexcel GCSE History, Elizabethan England. Today we will cover Elizabeth's accession and the problems that she initially faced. Elizabeth was Henry VIII's second child and the daughter of his second wife, Anne Boleyn. She was a very cautious individual and only trusted a few close advisors. She could also be indecisive. She did not like to make decisions without carefully considering the consequences of her actions. Elizabeth was an intelligent, confident and well-educated young woman who spoke 4 languages. She went on to become a powerful and effective leader. However, she faced many difficulties when she first came to the throne. One of the first issues Elizabeth had to deal with was the fact that she had been declared illegitimate by Henry VIII, her father, following the execution of his second wife, Anne Boleyn. Henry did later change his mind, but the legitimacy was still questioned, particularly by some Catholics in England. Divorce was forbidden in the Catholic Church, so many Catholics believed that Henry's second marriage to Anne Boleyn, Elizabeth's mother, was not valid, thus making Elizabeth illegitimate. On her accession, the crown was heavily in debt due to wars with France and a number of poor harvests before she became queen. Poverty in England was rising due to a collapse in the cloth trade, farming and inflation. All of this worried Elizabeth and her government because problems such as this could lead to rebellion within England. Elizabeth inherited a debt of £300,000, a major problem for her given that she was a newly crowned Protestant queen, surrounded by Catholic nations such as Spain and France, who could have launched an attack on England, which Elizabeth would struggle to defend against, as she did not have the funds to raise an army. Spain was the most powerful country in Europe and had a vast empire. It was a Catholic country committed to preventing the spread of Protestantism. However, Spain and England had been friendly for most of the Tudor period, and King Philip II had married Mary I, Elizabeth's half-sister. In 1558, the biggest threat from abroad came from France. At this time, France was at war with England and Spain. The French had strengthened their forces in Scotland, and in January 1558 they had captured Calais. Defending England was Elizabeth's most important duty, but she could not lead her army into battle as she was a woman. Defeat in war could mean Elizabeth would lose her crown. So Elizabeth being female was also a problem for her. Many people thought that a woman was too weak to rule the country, and so the issue of Elizabeth's gender and who she would marry was of national interest. Who Elizabeth should marry was a major political issue. Should she marry a foreign king or prince, or should she marry a member of the English nobility? Either way, this was an important decision, as people at the time did not believe a woman could rule alone. There was also the issue of succession. This was considered her duty to produce an heir to the throne. Without an heir, England would not be stable. If Elizabeth died without having children, who would take the throne? This brings us nicely onto another of the problems that Elizabeth faced when she became queen. In 1558, Mary, Queen of Scots, had also declared that she was the heir to the English throne. Mary was Elizabeth's second cousin and the great-granddaughter of Henry VII. This meant that she did have a rightful claim to the English throne. The threat of Mary grew when Mary returned to Scotland in 1561, following the death of her husband, the King of France. Mary, Queen of Scots, remained a problem for Elizabeth throughout the majority of her reign, right up until her execution in 1587. In summary, Elizabeth faced a great many problems when she became queen in 1558. Religion seemed to dominate, as her Protestant beliefs made her a potential target for invasion from Catholic countries such as France and Spain, who were keen to restore Catholicism across Europe. Rival claimants to the throne, such as Mary Queen of Scots, added to the Catholic threat, as she herself was a Catholic, who was seen by many as having a rightful claim to the English throne. This, combined with the fact that many viewed Elizabeth as illegitimate, only added to Elizabeth's problems. Economic problems were an immediate issue that Elizabeth had to effectively deal with, having inherited a debt of £300,000 due to the impact of poor harvests and the war with France. And finally, her gender. Elizabeth needed to marry. Women were not seen as able to rule alone, and she needed to ensure that she had an heir to ensure the stability of the realm. To get further help, visit history.outwood.com, see your teacher in school, or check out quiz.outwood.com for those sweet revision quizzes. You can also follow the Outwood Humanities team on Twitter @OGATHumanities. Until next time, that was a little bit of history.